Erik, thank you for joining us here on our seminar. I will just hand the word over to you now, and you can present your company.
Yes, thank you very much, Michael, and HC Andersen Capital for allowing us to be here also today and present our company WindowMaster. And we are very pleased also to be able to participate in your green transition seminar, because we as a company has quite a lot to offer to the green transition and to the subject of energy efficiency. So let's move on and go into this. Just to explain, WindowMaster, we are what we say an international and market-leading clean tech company in our niche industry. We have since 1990 delivered sustainable indoor climate solutions, and I'll get back to what that is more precisely to describe our systems. What we deliver to today is we are delivering solutions to what you call the commercial market, and we're not in a residential market. So the segments we are working with is the 6 sectors we are mentioning here on our slide here: education, healthcare, office buildings, sport facilities, culture, shopping centers. So all in all, these are buildings and rooms where you would see a lot of occupants going sometimes from 0 to a lot of people quite fast. Our market, what is driving our market at the moment and our company is, of course, a strong focus on sustainability and green building transition. We are also seeing a North American market that is specifically for WindowMaster, because we are very much focused to developing our business in this great market. Also, digitalization is also a big driver in our industry and for our company, and we have solutions that can match the modern building of today. We are, you can say, we are a company that is based in the northern hemisphere mostly. We are in Northern Europe with, so you could say, with sales subsidiaries. We are based head office in Vedbæk, north of Copenhagen. We have sales subsidiaries, you could say, Denmark, Norway, UK, Ireland, Switzerland, and Germany. And then we also have our production facility is an assembly plant which is based in Herford, Germany, very centralized to European logistic for more optimal supply chain and so on. Then we are also with 2 offices in North America, in North Wales, Pennsylvania, and San Jose, California. So we also cover the North American market, both East Coast, West Coast. I'll move on. So why are we interested in this? Why are we a company that can participate in this green transition we are seeing at the moment? We have worked with this for many years, but it has actually come much higher on the priority list with many decision makers in the building industry currently, and it will be accelerating going forward. If we look at what the CO2 emissions that come, the total CO2 emissions, then 39% of all CO2 emissions come from the building industry. And they, if you take and divide them up, you say 29%, that is heating, ventilation, and lighting. That is the running of buildings. And then you also have 11% is embodied carbon. That is what is inside all these products, what it takes to deliver and manufacture the products and build the building. So you can say it's a big portion of the CO2 emission, and that's why it's very key that we can address this going forward. Something that is also driving the market at the moment is, of course, that we have some energy efficiency targets, about 70% CO2 reduction in 2030 and so on. Yeah, so things are moving fast, and we have to find solutions that can help this transition. We also seen in the building industry that we are getting demands of what you can life cycle cost and life cycle analysis approach. These are to do with what you put in the building, how much embodied carbon there's in the products, and also how much energy we're utilizing in systems and so on when we are running the building. We're also seeing a strong focus in EU about renovation, which is also key, because only today about 1% of all public buildings are, and also buildings in general, are refurbished every year. And there is a policy in EU to do on public buildings that there should be a renovation rate of 3%. And that means that there's a lot of refurbishment going forward to make buildings even more energy efficient, something that also helps our market. Then we have the US with President Biden's new climate agenda and his ability now to get legislation in place. And we see that it's not quite what we expected when he was put in office, but it is a big game changer also for us in the US market. So we'll also see some positive movements there. If we look at what we do of solutions, then we do indoor climate solution. We do what we call natural ventilation. We do mixed mode ventilation. We do smoke and heat ventilation. And just a curious, if anybody noticed the news yesterday, we had a fire in what we call the music house of Aarhus. And actually that is a building equipped with our solutions. And I can tell you all windows opened as they should have do when the fire started. And we also were able to close everything when the fire marshal asked us to do so. We could do that online. So that was also very interesting. Yeah, just an example of what we do. So we do these solutions. So we can in a building control with our software and controls. Solar shading, cooling, heating, lighting, mechanical ventilation is also possible. But it's also do with controlling indoor climate. We'll focus a bit more on the natural ventilation side because that's the where we get more energy efficiency in. But basically, I'm not going through the technical details of our products. But basically, what it is we do hardware and software, and the hardware is motors, different sizes. I'll show an example here afterwards. And then we also do a lot of different controls, and we also do our software ourselves, and that software is related to running the building's indoor climate, especially with the window openings. Yeah. I'll move on to the next slide because that gives a little bit more detail on. It's an example of. If you look into it, shows a building looking from the side, and here you can see there are openings in the skylights in the roof. You have windows on the side of the building, and you have by opening the windows on the side, you can have this updrift of the hot air in the building. So you are actually using natural resources to make the indoor climate a lot better, reducing CO2 inside the building also, because that's also a big thing in buildings, especially where there's a lot of people. Then we of course we do the controls, and one thing I would say is that we are very good at doing the integration work between the skylights and the windows, because many manufacturers are very focused on those individual elements and nobody has the full package. So where we are in a sweet spot here is that we are very good at doing this, doing all the integration work on the window and controlling the indoor flow of air to make it as best as much. But I also have to say we cannot we create cold air, but we can make the temperature much more pleasant. We have an example in our own head office building. We can actually, with sun shading outside and with natural ventilation, we kept more or less cool all summer this year. Maybe there were some peaks of a couple of days, but the energy consumption or the energy savings are big when we do this. So that's a little bit on the technical side. If we move on, you can see we have done, with these are the types of buildings we do, and people will probably recognize some of them from Copenhagen. We are in most of the most innovative buildings, so both in Denmark and UK, Germany, and also some in the US now. We often get chosen because we are the number one in natural ventilation systems. To also say, we talk a lot about sustainability and what is our footprint, but then I also talk about what is our handprint. And the handprint we cannot take into our own CO2 emission accounting, but we can tell, what is the impact we do with our systems. And I can say, if we challenge the mechanical ventilation as using natural ventilation as an alternative in buildings, you can save 50 to 80% of energy in a building. Compared to a mechanical ventilation system. And you can reduce 25 to 70% of the CO2 emissions by using these systems that we commercialize. Also, the systems are upgradable, repairable, and they are flexible. So that is also something that's key, because we have a lot of install solutions around at the moment, and we are actually seeing that a lot of the older ones are being refurbished, and that is a big area that we're looking into at the moment. So it's not only new build, but it's also refurbishment we do. We also do healthier indoor climates, and we know from school, you can say studies that there will be 7 to 8% better results if you are using natural ventilation instead of just bad ventilation systems and mechanical ventilation in many instances. We also can reduce what you call sick building syndrome, that is sickness in the users of buildings, by 65% if you have better indoor climate. So there are really some handprints here that have effect. We also see that the return of investment on our systems is lower, because they can be under 1 year or just over 1 year compared to other more mechanical systems that have a lot more embedded carbon and also a lot of piping and so on in them. So there's a lot of, our handprint is super strong with what we do and our solutions that are put into buildings. So we are really in a sweet spot in gaining from this green transition we are seeing at the moment. Also, you can say the market, we are of course in a niche industry, but if we look at it, then who are our competitors? Yes, we have some competitors in our industry that are behind us, but they are also participating in the industry as a unique industry of natural ventilation. But our main competitor is mechanical ventilation. And if we look at that market, then that is growing by 7% per year, and will be growing over also the next couple of years by 7%. But it is a $1 billion industry, and you can say we're still a niche industry, but we want to tap into that. So could we just get 1 to 2% of that the mechanical ventilation industry? There is a quite good upsides in the market that we can be gaining in. That is, you could say, the potential here. So that is one thing, and you will see a lot of buildings being spec'd going forward and refurbished with more energy efficient solutions, and we are in the sweet spot of that. Then I will say that we also have a very strong sustainability strategy, and we have committed ourselves to the Science-Based Targets Initiative as one of the few SME companies in Denmark and also in the world to participate and reduce our go to net zero by 2030. That is in the scope 1 and 2, but also make a strong impact in our scope 3 area. And as we say, we are global citizen, and as a SME, you should also participate and not wait. And we actually, if you look at our sustainability strategy, it's very similar to some of the bigger companies in Denmark. I know we have a business model that is quite easy to handle in this sense, because we don't really have smoke in our chimney in our factory in Germany, because it's assembly, it's light asset. But we still want to be on the forefront, and we are in both, you could say, in our footprint and our handprint as a company. We want to make impact, even though we are a small SME in the bigger world. I know we also, just to giving a detail of as a traded company, we gave our half-year results last month, and just giving a little bit of a status on this. Then our first half year 2020, our order intake is up, our 12-month rolling is up 18% compared to last year. Our order intake is up to 143.7 million Danish kroner for the first 6 months. That's a plus 25% increase. And why I'm also talking about order intake here is because we get some of the orders we get, of course, they don't get to be done fully this year, but they are also for next year. But you have to build up a good an order intake here for the future. But a lot of it is also for this year. And then I get back to here the numbers of revenue. Our revenue this year, you can say, is up 10% compared to last year. And our EBITDA is at 6.4, that is million Danish kroner, that's 5.4%, but it's up 18% compared to last year. And we did also come out with our guidance for 2020. And we are expecting a revenue range in 220 to 235 million for this year. And EBITDA is in the range 13 to 18. However, we have actually said that because we have seen Q2 development, especially on the margin side, because we had the supply chain issues in the first in Q1 and pricing impact in Q1, but because of price increase 1st of January and price surcharges the 1st of April, we have seen that Q1 is a very strong rebound in the margin we are gaining compared to Q1, and we actually managed to do our expected budget numbers for the half year. But we can also say, because of this Q2 development, and we have been able to mitigate the cost, extra cost, and absorb the costs and give them on to our customers. Then we are saying that we are expected to be in the upper range of our EBITDA guidance. We also earlier in June came up with a new strategy called Accelerate Core, and that is looking at the expectation for 2025. And here it's actually our ambition to be in a growth range between 10 to 15% per year towards 2025, and also get an EB earnings before tax of plus 10%, which is quite achievable when we're looking at the expectations, the good market condition. We don't, of course, know there are also war, but we are not seeing any downturn in order intake for now, and our pipeline of opportunity is also growing. So we are looking positive on this and expecting this is what we can achieve in 2025. So I think that is all I will say for now, and we will leave for any questions, Michael.
Yeah, one of the first is that you are seeing a downturn in the construction industry. We were talking about it for long, but I think it's showing up in the numbers. And you're reporting about, you're seeing an increased pipeline. Is that the way of your business? Is it renovation? Is it the type of buildings that you do that kind of protects you from maybe the biggest drag on this downturn?
Yeah, if we look at what we are, our business is in new build and refurbishment of commercial buildings. It's not only offices, but it's also schools. It's and then so on. And here we will see a lot of projects for energy efficiency going forward. And so we are still coming from we are in a niche industry, yeah, and that means that we can develop in the niche industry, even also with all the macroeconomic things that are going on, because what we are seeing, it's mostly the residential that is really has a what you call hard stop or hard push on the brake at the moment, yeah. But I must say also that it might also be good for the building industry. I have to be careful to say this, but we've also seen it's been very overheated, and maybe we can get back to a little bit of normality and maybe more focus on energy efficient solutions being put in buildings or also in the refurbishment. We see a big push for refurbishment going forward, and here we are actually able to be put some of our systems in and refurbish also old systems, because we have thousands of systems already installed, and I have good examples of things that have been done in for bigger buildings because tenants are moving out and they need refurbishment, and we get in and we do the refurb on our old systems. Yeah.
So yeah, actually there's a question: how much is service income, and do you operate an installed base? The bigger your installed base gets, do you get most of the service contracts on this? So your service revenue will also increase with the installed base. So how are your business model? Is it not, unfortunately, quite that simple?
We do have a good service business. We do it ourselves, but we also have partners that do service on systems. But around I would say 15% of our turnover is actually service hours, and that is a part that we are seeing will grow going forward, and that's basically done on what we call multi-panel systems, because there are a lot that do just single panel in one staircase and so on, yeah. But we're doing it on bigger systems, and yes, most of them are actually our systems that we are servicing. But we're also seeing, and that is a push we're doing in our new strategy, Accelerate Core, is this on refurbishment, and there's a bigger focus on doing refurbs, upgrades on our the installed base we have all over. And what we are seeing with this the installed base is that it's faster turnover. Yeah, that's what we call it, because one of the issues we've had over the history of WindowMaster is that we are pursuing building projects, and if they are new build, they can be out there where they're being decided now, but they'll be building in 2 years' time. Yeah, and what we are seeing is that being able to service this installed base we have all over with upgrades and so on, it makes our turnover, you could say, faster, and it comes in on the books. Could be decided in months. We have a good example in Copenhagen with some buildings where Nordea used to be, and they have all been refurbished here recently, and the decision making is a couple of months and then it's done. and we can deliver on it, yeah. And that means faster turnover, which is very good for the business, yeah.
And then, sorry.
I just want to answer one more thing, because I understand what the question also is about. Is this a recurring business? And you can say the service is recurring, and you can say the refurbishment side is also, you can say, recurring business, yeah. Because we have a history of more than 30 years now, so we're starting also to see refurbishment of something we installed 20 years, 15 years, or 10 years ago, yeah.
And then actually on the refurbishment side, it's where we are seeing the big growth, going from 1% of the building mass to 3% or the amount that's going to be used. Your system, do you get the same payback time? Do you get the same energy savings on a refurbishment as a new build, where you design the building with the flows? Or can you elaborate a little bit on the refurbishment market? Are you still able to get that good numbers out of the refurbishment market also?
You can say on a new build, you can actually design the building inside, so you can make the flows perfectly done and so on. Yeah, also the outer skin of the building and so on. And there's a lot you can play with. But if you are looking at a refurbishment building, then in our systems, you also have microprocessors, and the technology has also improved quite a lot, and the possibilities with our software are also improving. And there you need to have different microprocessors that can work with more data and so on, yeah. And that if you put with the energy cost you see at the moment, then definitely if you improve your existing system that maybe is 10 to 15 years old, you will also have a high return of investment doing it.
Perfect. Thank you, Erik. We are run out of time. Thank you for taking us through your company and answering questions.